Hello, welcome to the HealthInn Show, an affiliate program of Homeopathy World Community. You've come to the right place to tune in and participate with your comments and questions. Love is the greatest healer of all, but sometimes, in order to change our emotions, we must take action in other spheres of our lives. We speak with experts in alternative and complementary health fields and hope you will benefit in some small or great way. Remember, you are wherever your thoughts are. Make sure your thoughts are where you want to be. Good day, everyone. This is Debbie Bruck, host of the HealthInn Show, an affiliate program of Homeopathy World Community. It is January 13th, 2014, wherever in the world you're listening in from. It might be midnight in Singapore or Perth. It might be 9:30 p.m. in Calcutta, India, or I think it's 4 o'clock in London right now with our guest, Terry Clark. And it's 11 a.m. in New York and 8 a.m. in San Francisco for those early risers. I want to just start with a little thought for the day. It's called Seeding Change by Spee Freeman. It says, just as a tiny seed awakens the infinite power of life hidden within the earth, so an act of caring and giving buried quietly in the ground can ignite an explosion of infinite light. Charged with that power, all the world is changed. So we are looking for the light within each of us as a tiny seed to share our positive thoughts and blessings and all of the goodness that we can possibly bring and change this world as it is. It doesn't look so good on the outside, that dark shell that's holding in all this good light within each of us. So we're going to introduce Terry Clark. He practices in Cambridge, UK, as a clinical homeopath and a nutritionist. He's a regular contributor of many national and international health magazines. He uses a specific approach termed clinical homeopathy, and it is widely used on the continent. This is a main type of homeopathy used by medical doctors in France and Switzerland, two countries that are leaders in the field of integrated medicine. Clinical homeopathy is used by the Heilpraktikers in Germany and has become very popular in Cuba and in Eastern Europe. Also, Terry provides bioresonance analysis and bioresonance therapy. That would need to be defined for us who are new to it, and the Metabolic Balance Certified Coach. And we hear a lot about that metabolic balancing. Today, we're going to ask him what his journey to homeopathy and healing for himself is. And also, he just announced to me that he's going to be writing a chapter in a book with Richard Harvey. So this is really exciting news, and you can learn more about his background on his own website, and which is, he will tell us the name of his website, and also Homeopathy World Community. So, for those listeners out there who want to follow along on the PDF document, there's a link on Homeopathy World Community. Just click that banner page, and I've put the link also into the chat so you can get your name in there. Call. The number is 919-518-9773. Come to us on Skype at Computers 2K Voice. You can call in there or get on the chat and we'll look at your comments. So we're ready to go, and refresh your page if you haven't done that yet. Welcome.
Thank you very much, Debbie.
What do we say? Bonjour.
Bienvenue, yes. Bonjour. Bonne année. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Okay. We're international here on the show. So tell us how you got started in this field, and then we'll go from there.
Yes, thank you very much. I mean, as you probably have noticed already, I'm from a French background. I grew up in France, which is an interesting country for homeopathy because every pharmacist have to have a full 1 year training alongside their conventional training about homeopathy. And you can go into every chemist in France and ask for any homeopathic remedies in any potency you want, and they'll get it for you, basically. So that's how big homeopathy is in France. Everybody who has a child in France would actually buy a kit, a book, and self-treat their kids.
I'm moving to France.
Yes, no, it's...
It sounds wonderful. And you can't go without the baguette, so you're good.
Yes, yeah. Learn French and do the show in French. I think there were a lot of people have informed about that show, and they say, "Oh, you need to do a French translation about that." So
okay, we can try that.
Indeed. So I grew up in that environment. Every doctor, I mean, at the time when I was young, it may have changed now, would actually use homeopathy, natural medicine, and conventional medicine. I then grew out of it and studied a Master of Science in Electronics. So started to have a very strong left brain, went very well. And then in my early 30s, I started to develop a severe type of arthritis. It was when I moved to the UK. And I remember that 6 months before actually marrying my wife, I was then on 3 or 4 medications for my arthritis. And the doctor was telling me, well, there is nothing we can do anymore. We have to move you to another type of medication called autoimmune medication. But basically, that's bad news for you because we don't really know the side effects. That's what I told her about, maybe I should go and see my old homeopath in France. And she said, tried everything before basically we try that. And when I went to see my homeopath, he hadn't seen me for about 20 years. he actually said, well, before I can actually touch your joints, I actually need to address your digestive system because it's very bad. And at the time I was, no, I'm not here for my digestive system. I can deal with that. Deal with my joints, but obviously I had hit the wall. The thing that I think most people have to do if they want to start to have a honest look about their health, and I had to follow his advice. And to my amazement, after taking his diet advice and his homeopathic treatment, he told me it will take a year. After a few months, I started to feel much more energy, as I really didn't feel for a long time. I also started to see I didn't have so much pain. After 3 or 4 months, I was not taking any conventional medication. And after a year, basically tell me, well, you have zero clear now. And that's a kind of course, of miracle you hear. But when you start to study how the body works, how health works, you actually realize it's not a miracle. It's just that you put back the focus on the healing abilities of the body. That's what drove me to study. And then after leave a job I didn't really like, and start becoming a health practitioner. I currently see a lot of people with arthritis because of my background. I see a lot of people as well with diabetes, high blood pressure. The UK, I think there is a big opportunity to be a health practitioner because the level of health is degenerating, and also the public health system is close to bankruptcy, which means that people have to actually go and see an alternative.
The health system is getting bankrupt itself because it's of the way it is in America as well. Just all of the clinical labs and all of the things that have been done, and so people are now doing creating their own little bank account for going to a natural practice?
Yes, or they will take a private medical insurance that covers homeopathy or other health system. In the UK, public health is actually paid through our taxes, which means that it's more or less free for everyone. You just have some time to be on a waiting list. And because people are sicker and sicker and the tax revenues are going lower and lower, the lists are getting longer and longer, basically.
They can come here.
They can come here and do what? Get on a list?
Yeah.
or they have to start taking ownership of their own health, basically.
Okay, there you go. Taking ownership of your own health. And that's where we are in responsibility and what you said at the very beginning, being honest with yourself. So where would we be in terms of your slides the PDF document, you have the amazing body, the importance of nutrition.
Yeah, I will probably start with an amazing body. So
Okay.
number 3.
Wonderful. We have an amazing body.
And I think if someone wants to actually promote what is health, that's where they have to start. They have to explain the amazing body. So this picture is a picture of our cells. When I do a talk about health, I tend to say, how many cells do we have? And of course, I mean, the answer is 10 billions of billions, I believe, or even more than any planets in the world. So basically, we have so many little units who have our DNA, more than any planets on the universe. And that's actually pointing to people that we are much, much more complex, because each of these cells are mini-me's. They need to defecate, they need to eat. They won't be happy if their neighbor cells are not very happy either. The slide number 5, a multidimensional body, explains the other side of that. The first picture saw how we see our cells in our lymphatic fluid. However, cells are very, very far apart from every cell, a bit like this swimming pool and all the little tennis balls around, which will represent how many cells we have in our fluid if it was put in that scale. And I tend to say, you see that dog is a hormone or a piece of food for that cell. And for the dog to actually find the right cell, if we're waiting only for the physical connection, the physical key, the two elements connecting to each other, it will take hours or even years maybe. So that's where actually we can see there is an intelligence, maybe through the magnetic field of any elements, that actually point that cells to actually get that connection. I'm pointing that to explain that the body is much more complex to what conventional medicine explain, and that chemical, i.e. physical medicine, is only a little part of it. The system is much more complex. It's also an energetic organism. This was very much accepted in conventional medicine before. Slide actually 6 point to what is health in terms of medicine. And you can see what is underlined. Health is not a static condition. It is a state of normal functional equilibrium, what is called homeostasis, which means that basically all of us, including myself now, we are never healthy. We are always in a balance between health and sickness. And this is this balance that we have to keep so that basically we stay as healthy as possible. Since I've been starting to talk, I probably have lost billions of cells through decay. I had to breathe probably 200 times. And all that basically is that hopefully I did. If I have done it, basically my body will be in balance. But if we start to have little tiny imbalances, then we will start to generate sickness.
If you hold your breath, you will be in balance, out of balance.
Very, very quickly. A friend of mine who is very much is actually breathing therapist in the UK. We start to have more and more. He reckons that actually most of the people breathe too much. In a sense, they focus so much on their breath because that's what we are told, that they don't have enough CO2 in their lungs to actually have optimal breathing. So breathing is an art. It was a meditative art in India, and it has to be very well supported.
Well, yes. I would like to give a plug to last week's guest on the HealthInn. We had Dr. Josiane, and he gave us some breathing techniques because he is an expert guru in yoga and homeopathy. So go back and listen to the archive from last week, and you will get 4 or 5 wonderful breathing techniques.
That's very useful. Thank you very much.
Go ahead.
I am going to slide number 7 again to explain this idea of balance. You have the yin and yang, and you have the Hippocratic caduceus, which show balance. They show left and right, and of course they show the yin and yang energy. And this was a normal principle in terms of health. Until the 16th or 1700th century, when basically the School of Medicine, which was promoting physical intervention, which basically gave birth to conventional medicine and also a lot of nutritional therapy, remove one part. You can see on the right-hand side, it's a first aid kit, and it has the sign of the medical caduceus. And one of the snakes disappeared. And the idea of the two snakes is one gives life and one can give death. And if you remove one snake, then obviously you intervene in a specific way, but you can intervene too much.
Can I ask a question?
Of course.
The two snakes, could it be the tree of life and the tree of knowledge? Why do we have to say it is the tree of death? And wouldn't it be more balanced if there were two symmetry? Why are we having just one?
It's a symbol, so it can be. It has an infinity levels of symbolism, and obviously we could say like the angel that it represents also God intervening in our life and balancing the gods. Yes, so I appreciate your feedback on that.
Okay. I always have so many questions. I could do a whole show just about the caduceus. Just about the meaning of it and how it came to be interpreted all throughout history.
I will tune into that show. I'm not an expert in symbolism, but okay. I love the Hippocratic caduceus. So
wonderful.
Sorry. Shall I move on to slide number 8?
Yes, please.
So it actually shows a few examples of body self-regulation. So what I was saying is that while I was talking, my kidneys have been filtering blood, my intestine and stomachs have been repairing themselves. And all this is to actually really explain that there is really an inner intelligence in the body that actually self-heal. And it's an intelligence which basically needs to be supported. So, slide number 10 shows how I tend to work. I call it my 3-pillar approach. It's similar to other approaches. I'm not the only homeopath or health practitioner using that. But basically, I'm trained as a homeopath. So for me, that's about rebalancing the body, rebalancing the energy, so potential basically of healing. Then on the left side, you have nutrition and food and very often supplementation, especially for chronic condition. The UK, and I'm very, very sure the US actually have a big health crisis because of their poor diet. And it is something that have to get back to being retrained into basis. How do we eat? What do we eat? Well, one example I had when I started to practice, I was expecting someone in the UK to actually respond within a week to homeopathic remedies regarding a diarrhea. And I was in Spain one day, and someone asked me for some remedies, which I said, well, try podophyllum for this type of remedies. He went to the pharmacy, bought some, and I saw him the day after. He said, oh, actually, it's gone. What you gave me has just cleared it. And I was, how come the same homeopathic remedy has such a different response? And my conclusion was the people I was treating in the UK were actually undernourished, which meant the body didn't have the energy to respond to the homeopathic healing power. The other pillar is lifestyle and unconditioning, which I will maybe cover a bit more at the end of the show, Debbie, if you don't mind.
Mm-hmm.
The following slides are on nutrition, so I will go through them quite quickly, simply because it is something I think everybody is quite aware. However, I think as a health practitioner, we really need to invest to have the right tools to support the clients we see. The slide 11 actually shows a picture of the US showing the level of obesity in each state. And compiled by the CDC. The white state didn't have any information in the 1990s, so that was how much it was not that important then. The 1990s when actually was when the health agencies realized there was a big obesity problem and started to tell people we have to track it and to tell people what they should eat, the 5 a day, the pyramid, and so on and so on. The result of that is shown on slide 12, where you can actually see that the situation has got worse with more blue states. I'm sure being American, you probably have some point of view of why some states are worse than the others. And focusing more on helping on educating people through mainstream education, you can see that on slide 13. Basically, now the U.S. appear over obese, with over 20% of people obese now in most states. It's interesting to also that we have to remember that the USA is the number one country in terms of health spending, in terms of doctors per capita, of nutritionists per capita, and of supplements consumption per capita, which means that something is basically not working, especially when we know that obesity is the number one factor alongside happiness, I would add, to basically chronic conditions.
There are many contributing factors to that. And one of the things I'm going to make another plug, and that is for the Gluten Summit, which I don't know whether you participated into that, and what your feelings are about eating foods that are with a lot of gluten in it. So that is a link on Homeopathy World Community. There, January 30th is going to be another big, what do you do once you have this information that our system is not working for our digestive health. So go ahead and either respond to that or push along on the slides.
No, gluten is clearly a key issue. It's a new food in a way because there was no white flour before the First World War. So clearly that's one part of the problem, and the more we can educate the people on that, the better. So thank you for that summit.
I think about people in Europe really eating a lot of bread with every meal. And do you feel this is healthy to do this?
I mean, in practice, I would suggest 20 or 30% of my clients to be off gluten or wheat until they get better. So that shows that basically, I mean, dairy is probably a bigger problem in the people I see because maybe of arthritis and the fact that I see a lot of people with arthritis. I have noticed a lot of people who told me they were actually very bad on wheat and felt better when stopping in the UK. But when they moved to France or Italy on holiday, they actually can cope with the wheat there. So there may be the fact that the wheat is not as badly treated in France. There may be also the fact that the overall quality of the food is better, which means that we can put up with bread. I think France is seen as a country where everybody eats baguette. However, we will only have a tiny bit of bread alongside our food, if you see what I mean. We don't really have sandwich in France. So my feeling is we live in a world where diet is not perfect. We need to educate people, and we have to have extreme measures when people are obese. However, on nutrition, it has to be individualized to each case. So gluten is a big problem in general, but we have to see for that individual, it is a problem.
So in other words, I'm hearing that we have many misconceptions about how people eat and myths about how people eat, that you're telling us it's not we're having so much bread, but it's just a little bit, and then we go ahead and have a nutritious meal that's fulfilling. And also this misconception about fat. So you showed the slide of the United States. That was slide number 11. They didn't even have any data in a number of states about obesity. And then in the year 2000, now they have all of these statistics in. And they were pushing low-fat diets. And this really is not proper because the body, and especially the brain, needs a quality fat to function and get all of the things working properly. So, again, a lot of myths about how we should eat or how people are eating to stay well.
Yes, no, that's very, very true.
Now you're up to slide number, the 2010 map.
Yes. So, and I will actually move to slide 14.
Okay.
Just, I've been very hard on the Americans, so I'll go on the Germans now.
Oh, okay.
And that shows a slide basically of obesity as well in Germany. So Germany is following as well that trend. I will maybe just point to what you say on fat, because the body basically makes energy primarily from fat or carbohydrate, i.e. sugar, wheat, and so on and so on. And if we actually increase our level of insulin, we will have to store fat. That's a mechanism of the body. So if we tend to eat a lot of carbohydrate, and fat-free food has to have a lot of carbohydrate, then we will put on fat. That's how amazing it is with the illogic advice of being fat-free, basically.
Okay.
Slide number 15 shows basically a few of the advice that tends to be misconception for most people. Again, some people will do about it. Sports will make you fat, will make you lose weight. Again, we need to actually reduce our insulin level, and sports make us actually have higher insulin. So we have to first have a plan based on diet. Small meals 5 times a day will also raise your insulin, and so on and so on. So again, having a good background on nutrition and then have an individualized plan for each of us, which can be backed by how the client actually feels when they go on that program, is the best way. I have a slide for you actually on fat-free food and weight gain. That's the slide 16. You have your BMI, which is a dark line with a little circle, which shows basically what is a type of BMI or on average in one specific country, which may be again the US, and it shows that it has shot up, and it has shot up as well with the introduction of fat-free food, which is expressed with the other lines. So basically, each line shows how much fat-free food is available per entree, fruit and vegetable, condiments, and so on. And there has been more fat-free food available, and actually people have put up on weight. So that's an evidence, basically, that it doesn't work.
On the lower line, you have fruits and vegetables. The BMI.
Yeah.
So can you tell us a little bit about this? The comparison, again, you have fruit and vegetables, entrees, bakery foods, and candy, gum, and snacks. And I think the programming, the marketing to the population to sell more and more products, to eat more and more of these fat-free, and they make free in such big letters. It's all natural. It's free. It's like it's not free. You are paying for it. And can you explain a little of this?
So when in the 70s the issue of obesity came up, it was at the time of the cholesterol as well problems, which came up in the 70s, and fat was seen as a big problem. So people were told, well, don't eat anything fat, including olive oil, eggs, and so on. What they didn't realize is at the time there has been a lot of introduction since the 50s of artificial fat made by men, basically like margarine or other products, very saturated fat. And this explosion of fat in the standard diet of everyone, which was found in convenience food, actually was very hard to absorb because it's a fat that didn't exist. So I believe that actually all the problems related to fat in the 70s were due to the fact that there was a lot of artificial fat and not from the natural fat like coconut oil, olive oil, and so on. So in the 70s, people came up with the idea, well, let's have fat-free foods, And this chart shows how many fruit and veg have come up in the supermarkets. So they were probably not marketing fat-free, but actually they were advised that, well, it doesn't have any fat. And same with entrees, same with bakery foods, same with candy and condiments. So of course, the more processed, the more you see an increase, because it's much easier to actually make processed food. And along all that explosion of fat-free food, the BMI, which is a measurement of how obese you are, have actually shot up, which actually shows that the obesity epidemic is not linked to actually eating too much fat.
Right. So this correlation between the eating of the processed foods and the change in American obesity levels is so in your face, obvious, that we should be able to turn it around in some way. What can we do?
I think that's where a health practitioner has to come in. I always say as a joke, when I came as a student into university, I didn't know how to cook an egg, to make an omelette. And I had to have a role model, a friend, to learn what to do. And our parents, at least in the UK, the parents of people of my generation were already not cooking very well. It was the 50s and the explosion of the supermarkets. So you need to see a health practitioner who is educated in nutrition, which includes general advice, not supplementation, to actually tell people how they should eat. And the bad news, if you go on that way, is that you will have to cook your food from fresh, because that's what human beings have done for generations and generations. So we have to respect our genes and eat the food that we are used to eat, basically.
I agree 100% with that. And if you find a healthcare practitioner who will actually take you on a tour of the supermarket and where to shop and what to look for, that will be even better. Okay, slide number 17. Food is very deceiving.
Yeah, that's probably one of the last times I went to a British supermarket. I went to actually explain on a presentation why people have problem even if they actually try to eat healthily. So in the UK, you can sell a piece of chicken which is actually made of 50% water, beef, stock, and taste enhancer, and you don't have to write that on the list of ingredients.
Oh my goodness!
By law, you should know about it.
Oh gosh!
Milk,
so, do you have markets in the UK where you can go directly to the farmer and get it?
Yes, they are more and more popular, and also in the UK we have organic box schemes. So actually, farms or cooperatives will bring the food directly to your door. Which is when I see a customer for health issues, I will advise them to contact one of the organic boxes I refer to, because that's how you have to help people be very practical about this issue.
Wow.
That's
I wouldn't be surprised if the chicken in our supermarkets were the same, 50% water, broth, flavor enhancers, and all sorts of preservatives. Who knows what else is in it?
The power of the web is that you can actually find on the legal website, like the health authority in the UK will actually publish what they mean by a chicken breast value. It's all defined, and that's what it means basically. In the UK as well, on the right side, 5% of your milk can actually contain pus. I'm sure in the US as well you're aware.
That's correct.
Yeah, it is the same. So that also shocks a lot of people, and I tend to explain that the logic behind that is that your milk is going to be warmed up to actually kill all this pus, but basically that shows you how healthy your milk is, and the kind of process they have to go through it in order to actually keep it in a way they can sell it.
Because the animals are sick, they're not well cared for, they're not loved properly, and therefore mastitis or other kinds of diseases are going on, and they have to continually give them, well, although we can purchase milk that does not have hormones in it, there are other things that they are doing, and you need to look for as organic as possible.
Indeed, and I think what you point is I think a great symbol, because if you start to take care of your health and what you put in your mouth, then already by doing that, you actually help animals, you help the world, you help using less pesticide, and so on and so on. And so by doing a change that is actually positive for your body, you actually help the planet and the whole food system.
Right.
I am moving quickly to slide 18, which basically is just a small image to explain that if people are constantly constipated, which is the other part of nutrition, it's what goes out, then basically you can imagine how toxic their body is. And that also has to be addressed by any modern health practitioner, in my view.
I see there's a lot of green in there, which means to me, I know chlorophyll is a cleanser, detoxification on cilantro and lemon juice and all of these things to really clean out the waste products inside the body.
Yeah. There are many ways, so every health practitioner can find their ways. However, we have to help open the line of eliminations for people to be healthy. Slide 19 shows basically the BMI, so your level of obesity and mortality. So it's again a slide which actually points to the more obese you are, the more your mortality ratio just shot up. So losing weight is really a key factor into health, basically.
And I have heard or read recently that if you're older, you want to have some body fat on you, that you will actually have more longevity and live, a healthier life, that you're nodding. Go ahead.
Yes, no, you're very correct. Again, BMI is just a measure, so in a way it's a symbol. And I agree that for older people, actually, there are other ways to measure BMI, the level of health. So having a bit of fat is actually, very healthy, and especially when you're older.
Good. We're getting older. We're getting a little...
Yeah, good news.
Okay.
You don't look older.
I'm the grandma. Okay. Conclusions for individuals.
Yeah, so basically if you're underweight or overweight, then that's your number one health risk. Do something about it. Don't be in denial.
Right.
And remember that in a way to achieve that, it has to go through individual advice. You can buy as many books, try as many things. However, it's much faster to get a coach or a health practitioner to help you go very quickly to where you should be. And after, you can stick to what you like if you want.
I love this advice. So people will want to know how to contact you. You're a health coach, metabolic balance, and all these other things that we will get your contact to the listeners and to anybody who wants. In addition, my daughter in Pennsylvania is also getting through the health coach career, so we'll be having her on one time in the future.
Yeah, that's great. Anyone more local, I would say, is always better for just the one-to-one relationship. So at least we know someone in Pennsylvania now.
Yes. Okay.
The next slide 21, gives some summaries on how I will address that layer with my customers. So it's very much about organ detox, bowel movement. So usually I have to give a lot of nutritional advice, supplementation, and I will use homeopathic complexes, either made by companies like HealthInn, for example, or individualized complex homeopathic remedies made of sarcodes, which is a homeopathic remedy made of healthy tissues. So let's say the bowel tissues, if I want them to actually heal again, and low potency remedies, which for me are very close to herbs, but not as strong. And I'm usually aware that if there are severe tissue changes, like in cancer or, deformative arthritis, it's probably a 3 or 6 month work at a physical level. And in practice, I would say 80% of my customers need some support here on the first consultation.
Okay, so we have a comment in the chat about multiple remedies or homeopathic complex remedies. And I'm sure that in France they have drainage remedies and things like that is very common. Do you want to explain to the listeners?
Yes, so there is different schools of homeopathy. One is more attuned to single remedies, which would be tend to call classical, and which, in my view, is very, very powerful and effective for therapeutic approach, so sleep issue, or for people who tend to have an issue more at the mind-based, emotional. However, at a physical level, I tend to use homeopathy a bit like a herbalist will use herbs. So I will use low potencies, so that basically there is still a material force, a material dose. And I will give a mix of them. So, but for example, homeopathic remedies related to the liver as well as to the kidneys, because if the liver is struggling for elimination, we also tend to need to support the kidneys. So that's the idea of giving multiple remedies. In my view, it is still important to find the right individual remedy for the customer and to use a repertorization on the specific symptoms. However, the use of complex remedies helps you to actually help the body at different level, at an organ or nutritional level.
So basically what we're thinking is that we're working on two different energetic planes. We're working on the physical plane of the food that we eat, the air that we breathe, and then the low potency dynamization of those remedies for drainage and support of the organ systems. And then the individualized constitutional remedy, that one remedy that's going to help the mind and the emotions. So all of those are working synergistically and simultaneously on different levels and won't interfere with each other?
So sometimes I will not give to the customer the constitutional remedy, simply because I feel they are not ready for that. We first need to work more at the therapeutic level. Sometimes I will give everything at the same time. I have found a way which is used by other health practitioners, homeopaths, to actually reduce the level of aggravation. I ask my patients to take all their remedies when I mix them in 1 liter water bottle. So people will prepare in the morning, they will take 1 liter of mineral water and they will add all their remedies in it. So actually they drink it slowly and gently and have it and are able basically to take the remedy all the time in a very, very low dilution. And that was an advice which was actually promoted by German homeopaths in the 20th century. Reykjavik, the founder of HealthInn, actually was very good with that. And with this, I have not seen a lot of massive aggravation. The only cases when I see aggravation is actually when people are not on supplementation, which actually I think against is my idea that the body doesn't have the resources to respond to the remedy.
Wow. This is really interesting. So you're going to put all of the remedies into a 1 liter bottle of mineral water. It's not distilled water. It's not spring water, mineral water.
It can be spring or distilled, not from the tap, I would say.
Okay. And then they are like sipping on it all day long?
Yes.
Wow. Okay. Very interesting. And so this gives, and while they're shaking it and they're sipping it, so they're changing it slightly, and this way they're constantly getting energized by it.
Yeah.
And how long do you do that before you say that's enough?
I tend to give, again, that's for me, because I'm seeing a lot of people, I had to a bit industrialize my process. So when people come with massive depression, then they may have to take only 1 pill a day, for example, in that case, or once, or a classical single split dose, so 3 doses over 3 days, for example, if there is a major trauma. If it's a purely physical issue, I will see people every 6 weeks or every 3 months, and I will give them a treatment for 6 weeks or 3 months. So they will zip that product for 6 weeks or 3 months.
We'll have to see. It sounds wonderful if you're getting excellent results from this. Slide number, we're going to move along. Slide number 23. The amazing body is constantly coming up.
Yes, that's the agenda. So the next point now is how conventional medicine works. So maybe we can probably skip that. What do you think?
Yes, let's skip. Well, yeah, we'll save it for another time. How conventional medicine does not work.
That's another topic of the show. I'm sure everybody is aware of it.
Okay, let's go to the next one.
Yeah, so I'm just pointing to health practitioner, explain really this topic when you talk about homeopathy and health and so on, because that's again an eye-opener for people. So it's very important to cover how conventional medicine work and list all the side effects that they have actually. Mm-hmm. So that's homeopathy. So that's again the next section, which starts on slide 30. Explain to people basically what is homeopathy. In the UK, homeopathy was very, very big before World War II. It was probably one of the main centers. And it has really died down because the NHS, the public health systems, stopped promoting it. And now there are a lot of misconceptions about homeopathy, a lot of public critics. So it's also very important to educate people. I will probably skip that because I'm sure everyone on the show knows actually about homeopathy. I will maybe only go to slide 34, which basically I have on my website a list of a lot of evidence-based scientific studies that actually show that homeopathic work, which helps me when I talk to someone. I say, well, you may have heard it doesn't work. And, I cannot really disagree with that because I hear it as well. However, go on my website because there are studies which you can actually review and actually they prove it works. And something cannot work in one place and not work on another. It either work or not. So the issue with homeopathy is that it's an energetic medicine. It helps the body heal. And if the body has the ability to heal and the right remedy is selected, it will work, as the evidence show. However, it's just a very simple way to actually stop the debate on it doesn't work or work. There are evidence, they just need to be more public, basically.
We all need to speak out. We all need to tell one friend or publicly or have a talk in a library or wherever you are to show that you are a living proof of homeopathy. And if they want to try, it's not going to hurt them. It's available readily in Boots Pharmacy in England or in the Whole Foods here in America or online on catalogs. And so it's readily available for people to use for an acute issue, indigestion after eating too much, try the, Nux vomica or something. Or if you have hay fever, there are allium cepa things. There are things that people can use for themselves and their family. They are regulated by the government and perfectly safe. Of course, always remember, if you have a chronic issue or something that requires medical attention, always see your healthcare provider, and don't keep taking. Well, like you're saying, to take it for 3 to 6 months, and we always say, well, don't take it repetitively because then you're going to prove it.
I'm talking at very, very low potencies, So I don't know if that makes a difference, but in French homeopathy, you can be on remedies for many long, but it's usually you talk about X's up to 9x probably.
Okay, and that's safe. Okay,
yeah.
And also if you want to learn about the evidence-based information, you can go to his website, THIERRY-health. Is that what I wrote? Let me see.
Yes,
okay.
.com, yeah.
Yeah, health.com. All right. We're up to... Peter has a question in the chat. The pharma companies always discredit homeopathy. Does Terry see more widespread acceptance coming from the UK? And is the situation different in France and Germany? Well, actually, it's the worst in the UK that I know. They're having the big conflicts and skeptics and paid groups that are massively creating propaganda against homeopathy in the UK and trying to eliminate it from the healthcare system. Yeah. So if you want to say a word about that.
I sometimes bless the skeptics because thanks to them, they're not going to ban homeopathy because it works. So it has to be only done by doctors who are not trained into homeopathy. So we have to see that in France, for example, if you want to prescribe homeopathy, you have to be technically a medical doctor. And that's something I am very fearful in the UK or in Europe. I would say we have to understand that pharmaceutical drugs are limited companies that have to make money. So they have a natural reason to actually blame or make fun or ridicule homeopathy. And we should be upset about that because that's just the way they are. We need to just educate how medical drugs work, what is the place of medical drugs, and explain that homeopathy work and show the evidence. As Debbie, you said before, I am a living evidence that arthritis can be cured and can be cured without taking anything anymore. I don't have to take any more homeopathy for my arthritis. So now people have a choice. Either they decide to actually say, well, maybe I should try again, and you can give them the information to actually confirm their choice, or they want to try something else, and maybe they have to hit their wall for longer. I would say it's better if you're a health practitioner not to bother about people who actually complain or trash your business. Just keep on healing people, and other people will come.
Okay, so Gabrielle Seelman in the chat, she says, it's true. We as individuals are living proof. And, they did this great big study where they collected all the data and they said that vitamins are useless and it's a waste of time. Now, this is totally bogus because their methodology in the testing, in the research and compiling the data and moving around the statistics, they're going to come to a conclusion. Now, if you go and dig deep into it and really do an analysis, you're going to find out that maybe they use synthetic vitamins, which the body doesn't even know what to do with it, or they used too little, or they didn't do something correctly with the methodology in giving it. They eliminated people in the study that should have had it. I was just reading about that they need to give it to people who are deficient, like the people who are nutrient deficient. Then you will see the difference as opposed to giving it to all healthy people who are already okay. So there's a whole bunch of reasoning why they come to a conclusion. They don't want you to buy the vitamins anymore. And then what was it? Oh, so Gabrielle was saying that we are not an analysis. we are not evidence-based. But to me, that's the problem with medicine today, is we're not listening to each human being's voice, each person as living proof that these things actually work. And when you see a person who, they had on the Huffington Post, I don't remember the gentleman's name, 78-year-old bodybuilder who looked like a 20-year-old, all musculature, and he's a vegan. He's a vegan all his life. So why do we need to have all this protein in our diet? Yeah. And he's living proof that if you will it, it will be so. Anyway,
that's very true. We by eating better, by being happier, we are just an example how people actually would like to live their life. And if they're awake enough, they will come and ask us what to do about their life. I'll move maybe quickly to the third pillar, which is a slide, basically number 37, or maybe number 39, which is more for when people. I have that very often when people stay 1 or 2 years on homeopathy. They had a major health issue like me. They're over it. They feel very good. They don't really need the homeopathy anymore, but they say, I'm still not happy in my life. I think we discussed briefly, Debbie, about that, and I think maybe I'll just cover that very quickly, but there is no root cause. People have everything. They have a good job, a wife, and so on, but they don't feel happy. Or otherwise, they have a massive trauma that basically destroys their belief system. It's not many customers I help on that. However, I started to actually accept there is a need and work with them. And I feel it's probably the field more of psychotherapies, but I feel as a homeopath, we're actually very well trained to then use classical homeopathy to actually help people get rid of their conditioning. By that, I mean their cultural or family education and their fears or envy that basically prevent them to actually do really what they want. A bit like me, I had to do a leap of faith to become a health practitioner when I had a very good paid job. And I had to go through my fears. And by being assisted by someone and by remedies, it's much easier. And homeopathy is, for me, the best powerful tools to actually make the journey much easier.
Definitely. Very supportive. Talk therapy, having a trust relationship with a counselor. And then, in addition, the homeopath can hear the words, the ongoing life theme of what struggles a person has, and homeopathic remedies also reach the emotional, mental, and spiritual levels. So this is why the beauty of using homeopathy in tandem with counseling and other kinds of therapies to get a person into a more joyful state of living. You have further slides here?
Yeah, you summarize very well what I'm trying to say, David. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Slide 41 explains of the project I'm working now, the new book called Sacred Attention Therapy, which basically explains the different, this slide shows the different areas of conditioning that basically we need to let go in order to actually have a fulfilled life. It is not for everyone. However, when people have been on homeopathy for long enough, they will have that need. That's what I've found in my practice.
And I understand you're writing a chapter in the book with Richard Harvey.
Yes.
And we will have to see about getting him as a guest onto the show talking about psychotherapy. I don't know how much I'm in tune with psychotherapy today with all the drugs that they hand out.
He's not drug-based at all. I don't think he is allowed to prescribe medications, actually. And he's very much open to the flowing of the soul. So I'm sure that will resonate a lot with you, actually.
Well, this little diagram looks very interesting, and maybe you'll come back and do a little bit more in depth about that specifically. Suggestions for non-homeopaths. Slide 42.
Oh, sorry, yes. So that's more for, I tend to train on first aid, but also other health practitioners on how they can add homeopathy to help basically their clients who have acute condition. And I've started to work a lot with psychotherapists or other energy healers on telling them the kind of remedies you can actually take. So, for example, people who have severe anxiety and have a sleep problem, try arsenicum, coculus, and all this kind of thing, depending on the cause. And people have actually told me that their customers, their patients go much, much more faster when they add homeopathy to their toolkit.
And you just mentioned arsenicum album for high anxiety people, very restless people, need to have a lot of control and organization in their life, and perfectionist. And then we also have the coculus for sleep insomnia, and I just was reading an evidence-based publication about the use of cocculus for insomnia. So those are usually for persons who care for themselves, care for others, nursing others, have a difficulty. They're already up taking care of people and worrying about people. Okay, so then you have the sacred attention therapy, which we're looking forward to. And at the end, any questions? I don't know. We're really at the end of our time today. So. We covered so much, and I really appreciate the slides and everything that you've provided for us. You say drink 2 liters of water a day. Is that true? Stay away.
That's probably on my appendix. Yeah, so that's the kind of slide I add when I do my presentation. I thought they would be useful for other health practitioners.
Okay.
It can go up to 4 liters if you're very obese.
Okay, so folks, the slides are available on Homeopathy World Community on the page that announces this show. And please send us any feedback. The archive of the show will be available for anybody who missed it or wants to review it again and see what we talked about. We really encourage people to share and get more listeners. What else do I want to tell you about? I want to mention that there is this Sunlight Sciences, and on Homeopathy World Community, you can get 10% off for bringing light into your home, into your life. And I have really noticed a difference. When I go to a place that has regular fluorescent lights, I sort of fade out and start to yawn, and I do. I just... But then when I go home and I'm in my house with all of these beautiful lights, I just love it. The other thing is that on Thursdays we have a show. Oh, it's going to disappear into... There you go. We have a show with Alan Phillips on Blog Talk Radio for 4 years running now at 1 p.m. And, 48 doses of 14 vaccines before the age of 6, starting from the day of birth. Can somebody make any sense of this? Do you think that we lived on this planet for millennia having to inject all of these toxins into our body? And what is the after effects that's going to happen? Are we going to have kids with so many problems today? It just doesn't make any sense. And the evidence is not really there for supporting the use of these vaccines. So tune in. Wednesday, Dr. Christina Chambreau, her once-a-month show with us on Blog Talk Radio. We're going to change the time to 12:30 p.m. And I don't even remember what our topic is, but she's fabulous. She knows everything about pet health. And if you have a pet, have a question, she wants you to call in. She will answer your question. One political note, TPP, and I've put that out on the airwaves. I've sent out a message. The Trans-Pacific Partnership Treaty that is being fast-tracked in America without the population, citizens of America, even knowing what's going on, taking away your rights, taking away your congressional leaders' rights and privileges, abilities to make decisions concerning labeling, concerning safety issues, concerning GMOs. I mean, it runs the gamut. Corporations will be running America if we allow the TPP to go through. So call your representatives, go on Homeopathy World Community and learn a little bit more. Watch the videos there so it makes a little bit more sense to you. You need to tell somebody about this because this is vital for the stability and for America to thrive and go forward on the planet and not destroy the planet, which is something that the corporations don't seem to care about. That's my political announcement for today. I would really like to end with something more lively and positive. Okay, I'm going to end with, this is coming up to the week of the birthday of the trees, celebration of the trees. We call it Tu B'Shvat. And it says, man is a tree of the field. We are nurtured by deep roots as far back as Abraham and Sarah. We reach upwards to the heavens while standing firmly on the ground. And when we do all of this right, we produce fruits that benefit the world, namely our good deeds. So get grounded, folks. Breathe the air and spread the good news. Okay, blessings to everyone. Waves of awareness. Thank you, Terry, and all of our listeners.
Good day.
Okay,
you,
listen for the next show coming up. Marilyn Shannon's going to have somebody talking about, do you know? I think it's if you've had a past life experience. I think that's what it is. Okay, bye-bye.
So love.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. Our weekly lineup of call-in programs includes Computers 2K Now with Amnon Nissan, Sundays, 9 a.m. till noon. HealthInn with Debbie Bruck, Mondays, 11 a.m. till noon. Breaking Free with Marilyn Shannon, Mondays, 1 till 2 p.m.